The sky was burning. Flames danced across the black clouds as a spaceship fell like a dying star. It broke the sound barrier with a loud scream, pieces of metal flying off as it crashed toward the surface of a dead planet. Inside the ship, alarms screamed, red lights flashed. Captain Raynor held the controls tight, his face full of sweat and blood. "Come on. Hold together," he whispered, but the ship did not listen. With a final jolt, it hit the ground. A huge explosion filled the air with smoke and fire. Then silence. Raynor coughed as he pulled himself out of the wreckage. His suit was torn. One arm was bleeding. His leg hurt with every step. But he was alive. He looked around. The planet was cold, dark, and empty. The ground was dry and cracked. The sky was always gray. Giant broken trees stood like bones, and strange sounds echoed in the wind. This place was not Earth. Raynor activated his comms. Echo base. "This is Captain Raynor. I've crashed. Requesting backup." "Repeat." The device buzzed. No signal. Great, he thought. Totally alone. He grabbed a small bag of supplies from the ship and started walking. His body ached, but he had to find shelter before night. The air was thin. Breathing was hard. The wind was sharp like knives. After some time, he found a small cave hidden under a rock hill. He crawled inside and sat down, breathing heavy. Then he heard it. A sound, soft, careful, like footsteps. Raynor froze. He reached for his pistol slowly. His eyes watched the cave entrance. And then someone appeared. Not a human. A girl. But not like anyone Raynor had ever seen. Her skin was pale blue, almost glowing. Her silver eyes looked like light trapped in glass. Her hair was long, white, and covered in dirt. She wore torn clothes, and her arms were covered in cuts and bruises. She looked scared. She looked weak. She looked alone. She took one shaky step forward, then collapsed. Raynor pointed his gun. "Who are you? What do you want?" The girl looked up, lips trembling. Her voice was broken, her English slow. "Please, I am not enemy. I only want to live." Raynor's eyes narrowed. "You're an alien." She nodded. "I was left behind," she whispered. "Long ago. My people, all gone." She crawled closer. Raynor didn't lower the gun. Then she said the words that would change everything. "Take me with you, or leave me to die." Raynor's heart beat faster. He didn't know what to do. Every soldier was trained to avoid contact with unknown aliens. But this girl, she wasn't a threat. She was half dead, still. What if it was a trap? She looked up again, her voice softer than before. "I saw your ship fall. I knew someone came. I waited. Long time." "How long?" Raynor asked. She closed her eyes. "Too long." Raynor lowered the gun slightly. "What's your name, Kari?" She tried to sit up, but failed. Raynor hesitated, then walked toward her. He took a small water bottle from his bag and handed it to her. She grabbed it with both hands, shaking, and drank fast like someone who hadn't had water in days. Raynor sat down across from her. The wind outside howled. "Like wolves, this planet," he said. "What is it?" Kari looked outside the cave. Her voice was low. "Once, home. Now, only death. The hunters come at night. Machines. They kill everything." "Machines?" Raynor frowned. She nodded. "I can help you. If you help me, I know where shelter is, safe place. But we must go before night." Raynor looked at the sky. The sun was already falling. He looked back at Kari. Her silver eyes were full of fear, but also hope. He sighed. "All right. We leave at dawn. Try to sleep." Kari curled up near the cave wall, her eyes still watching him. Raynor leaned against a rock, gripping his pistol tight. He didn't know if he had made the right choice. Maybe he just saved someone, or maybe He invited danger to stay close. But one thing was sure, this planet wasn't just a crash site. Something was waiting out there. And it had just begun. Asterisk. The wind outside screamed like a dying machine. But inside the cave, silence sat between two strangers, one human, one not. Captain Raynor didn't sleep that night. His eyes stayed open, watching the alien girl, Kari. She had curled up near the cave wall, her body thin and weak. Her back rose and fell slowly. But her silver eyes stayed open, too. She was pretending to sleep. Neither of them trusted the other. Raynor looked at his gun, then at Kari. Was he crazy for letting her live? But then he remembered her voice, soft and cracked. Take me with you. Or leave me to die. He had made his choice. That morning came without light. The sky was still gray, thick clouds moving like smoke. Kari sat up. Her white hair fell over her face. She looked at Raynor, not like a friend, but not like an enemy. Either. Just someone who wanted to survive. Raynor stood up, stretching his sore arms. You said you know a safe place. Kari nodded. Underground. Not far. But we must move fast. The hunters sleep in morning. Only few hours. Raynor stared at her. These hunters, what are they? Kari looked down. Machines. They used to protect. Now they kill. Programmed to destroy anything that moves. Who controls them? She hesitated. I don't know. But they don't stop. They took my people, all of them. Raynor checked his wrist device. Still no signal. Still no help. He loaded his pistol. All right, he said. You help me get to that place. I'll keep you alive, deal? Kari looked up at him. Her eyes were unreadable. No one keeps anyone alive here, she said. We run, we hide, that is all. Raynor smirked. Sounds like a deal to me. They stepped out of the cave. The ground was cold, almost like walking on glass. Sharp rocks and black sand stretched across the land. Strange shapes moved far in the distance. Tall, thin machines with glowing red eyes. They didn't come closer, not yet. Kari led the way. She walked carefully, always watching the shadows. Her feet barely touched the ground. Raynor followed. Close, every muscle ready to fight. He had been in many battles, jungles, cities, space stations. But this planet felt different. This wasn't a war. It was a graveyard. After walking for hours through the broken landscape, they reached the edge of a giant crater. Kari pointed down. There, under the rock, human base, long time ago. Before the betrayal. Raynor's heart stopped for a moment. Betrayal? Kari nodded slowly. Humans came here once. Said they were friends. But they left us to die. Raynor didn't reply. He had no memory of that, no orders about this planet. But he felt something tighten in his chest. Was it true? They climbed down into the crater, finding a metal hatch hidden under rubble. Kari pressed her hand to it, and it opened with a hiss. Raynor raised an eyebrow. You have access to human tech? She didn't answer. Inside, the shelter was dark but dry. Old human crates, broken screens, empty ration packs. Kari lit a small light crystal, blue and warm. Raynor sat down on a bench and finally breathed. All right. We're safe for now. Kari looked at him. No one is safe here. Not truly. Raynor leaned forward. You said the hunters were human machines once, but they kill you now. Why? Kari walked to an old wall panel. From her pocket, she pulled out a glowing chip. This holds truth, but I cannot read it. Only your tech can. Raynor stood slowly. What's on it? She turned to him. Proof of what happened to my people, of what your people did. If you read this, you may not like what you see. Raynor took the chip. His hands felt heavy. The air in the bunker grew quiet. A deal had been made, but now the price was starting to show. Outside, a red light blinked in the sky. A drone had spotted movement near the crater. The hunters were waking up. and they were coming. Before he heard the sound, he felt it, a small vibration in the floor, like the heartbeat of something not alive. Captain Raynor stood still. Inside the old shelter, everything was quiet. But something had changed. The air was colder, the walls trembled, and then a sound. Click, click, click. Metal, sharp, moving fast. Kari's eyes went wide. She grabbed Raynor's arm. "They found us," she whispered. Raynor looked at the old steel door they came through. A red light was now glowing above it. Not from their side dot, from the outside dot. The hunters were here. Raynor pulled out his pistol. He checked the magazine. Only 7 shots. Not enough. He glanced around the room, looking for anything useful. "Is there another exit?" he asked. Kari shook her head. "Not here, only forward." She ran to the back wall and pressed her hand against it. The panel lit up. A hidden passage opened, leading into deeper tunnels out behind them. A boom. The front door was hit by something heavy. The metal bent inward. Raynor didn't wait. "Go!" he shouted. They ran into the tunnel. The tunnel was dark, the only light coming from Kari's glowing crystal. Raynor followed close behind, hearing the metal footsteps getting louder. Then came the screech. A robotic howl. High-pitched, not human. Not animal. The hunters had entered. "They're fast," Kari said. "They can smell heat," Raynor frowned. "They can smell?" "They're not just machines anymore," she whispered. "They evolved." Another explosion behind them. Dust fell from the ceiling. The tunnel shook. Raynor turned and fired 3 shots down the hall. Sparks flew. One shadow dropped, but another came, taller, sharper, with red glowing eyes. Kari grabbed his hand. "This way." They slid through a side tunnel, half buried under rubble. Raynor barely fit. His shoulders scraped the walls. He could hear the hunters' claws behind them, digging, slicing through steel like paper. After crawling for what felt like forever, they dropped into a large chamber. It was different. Clean, bright. Raynor looked around in shock. "Is this a lab?" Kari nodded. "One of the last. Hidden. I used to come here before everything died." Screens still worked. Old data files blinked on the walls. One of them showed a map of Earth and this planet. Kari stepped toward the console. "The chip. Give it to me." Raynor handed it over. She inserted it into the machine. Data loaded, and what Raynor saw made his blood run cold. Screen display. Project Silence. Human command authorization. Target: alien civilian colonies. Reason: strategic clearance. Raynor stepped back. "This is an order from human generals." Kari nodded. "Your people didn't lose contact with us. They ended it." Raynor didn't speak. His hands shook. He had followed orders his whole life, but this wasn't war. This was erasure. Before he could think more, a shadow moved above them. The ceiling cracked. A hunter dropped in, massive, 4-legged, eyes like burning coal, blades for arms. It let out a high scream and lunged. Raynor fired. Once, twice, but the bullets bounced off. Kari raised her hand, her palm glowing blue, and a pulse of light hit the creature. It paused, twitched, then charged again. Raynor grabbed a pipe from the ground and smashed it into the machine's leg. Sparks flew. Kari released another pulse, stronger this time. The creature screamed and collapsed, but more were coming. Kari gasped, falling to her knees. That power. "I can't use it again." "Not yet." Raynor lifted her up. "Then we run again." "No," she said. "We go up. There's a surface hatch, one last exit." They climbed fast. Every hallway echoed with metal claws and screams. Lights blinked red. Sirens rang. Raynor covered Kari as she opened the hatch. Sunlight poured in, weak, but real. They burst onto the surface, but they were not alone. In the distance, a black shape moved across the sky. Ship Rayner's come suddenly beeped. Signal found. He looked at Kari. Someone's here. Kari looked afraid. Not everyone who comes. Comey's to save. Rayner raised his pistol again. The hunters were below. But someone else was now watching from above. Asterisk. The sun touched her skin. And for the first time, Rayner saw the light inside her. Not just glow, but power. The hatch slammed shut. Behind them, Captain Rayner stood still, breathing hard. His heart raced. Below them, the hunters scratched at the steel, unable to climb. For now, they were safe. Kari sat on the cold rock, hands shaking, her blue skin marked with lines of light, glowing softly, like veins made of stars. Rayner had seen strange tech in his time, but this wasn't tech. This was something else. He knelt beside her. What was that back there? The pulse you used? Kari looked at him, tired. It's not a weapon. It's part of me. Rayner's eyes narrowed. You're enhanced? She shook her head. Not enhanced, chosen. Rayner frowned. By who? Kari turned to the sky. The clouds were moving now, revealing a broken moon. She spoke slowly. My people were once many, peaceful, builders, dreamers. We didn't need war, until war came to us. Rayner listened, silent. Humans arrived with smiles, she continued. They asked for help. We gave them energy, food, healing. In return, they promised protection. Her eyes grew hard. Then came the order from your leaders. Project Silence. Destroy all that could not be controlled. Rayner looked down. He had seen the documents, the words. Alien. Civilian colonies, strategic clearance. It wasn't a war, it was an erasure. Kari stood slowly. The light in her skin faded. Not all of us had powers, she said. Only a few. My mother was one of them. She passed it to me, a spark. A living energy, old as the stars. Rayner tried to understand. So, that glow, it's not tech, it's you. Kari nodded, but it burns. Every time I use it, it takes something from me. Rayner said nothing. Then, gently, why didn't you use it sooner? Kari looked away. Because I didn't want to kill again. Silence. The black ship overhead moved lower now, slowly circling like a hawk. Rayner tapped his comms. Still no response. There, blocking open channels, could be a trap. Kari looked at the ship. That's not a rescue ship. Rayner raised an eyebrow. How do you know? She didn't answer. Instead, she reached into a small pouch on her waist and pulled out something. Wrapped in cloth. She opened it slowly, a crystal faintly glowing red. Rayner stared. What is that? Kari's voice was low. A beacon, a memory, one of the last voices of my people. Rayner stepped closer. Can I hear it? Kari hesitated, then nodded. She placed the crystal on the ground. It hovered, spinning slowly. A soft hum filled the air. Then, a voice. Not Kari's, not human. To those who hear this, we forgive you. But we do not forget. We were not weak, we were kind. And kindness was punished. The voice faded. Rayner felt cold. Kari turned to him. This is why I begged you, not just to survive, but to tell the truth. Rayner looked into her silver eyes, and for the first time, he didn't see alien. He saw someone who had lost everything, and still chose to forgive. A strange sound filled the air. Thunk. A small metal dart landed on the ground near them. Rayner's head snapped around. Sniper! Kari screamed. Rayner pulled her down behind a rock as a red laser cut across the dirt. Another shot, missed by inches. The ship above had opened its side. Doors, drones dropped. Black armored, human military. Rayner checked his weapon. 3 bullets. He looked at Kari. Stay low. Move when I say. But, no deals now, just survival. They crawled toward an old wreck, another crashed pod from long ago. Inside, Raynor found a dead soldier. His armor was half melted, but his rifle still worked. Raynor picked it up and looked at Kari. Time to even the odds. The gun felt heavy in his hands, but not because of its weight, because of who it might point at next. Captain Raynor crouched in the shadow of the broken pod. Above, black drones circled like vultures. The enemy was an alien this time. It was his own side. Kari sat beside him, silent, hugging the red memory crystal to her chest. Her skin had stopped glowing. Her face looked tired and older somehow. Raynor had seen battle. He had faced enemies in space and on Earth, but this moment, hiding from his own people, felt different. Worse. Raynor checked the rifle. Loaded. 4 clips. Not much, but enough to make a run. Kari looked at him. Why do they come now? She asked. Raynor's voice was quiet. Because someone knows. We found the message, and they want to bury it again. Kari didn't ask why. She already knew. They moved quickly through the broken canyon, keeping low. The drones scanned with red lights, burning holes into rocks. Raynor timed their path, ducking under ledges and sliding through tunnels. Finally, they reached the ruins of an old relay tower, half collapsed, but the core system still blinked. Raynor pulled out his portable uplink. This is it, he said. We send the crystal's data. If even one satellite hears it, the truth gets out. Kari handed him the crystal. It must reach someone. Even if we don't. Raynor nodded and plugged it in. The screen lit up. A blue interface flashed. Decrypting classified memory. Lines of code scrolled. Then, a video feed. Grainy but clear. On screen, a meeting room. Human generals sitting around a dark table. One speaks. These aliens are too advanced. Too independent. They won't follow orders. Another replies. Then we end them, quietly. Make it look like a communication error. Call it a lost colony. Laughter. We'll send drones. No witnesses. Raynor's face turned pale. He turned to Kari slowly. This is real. She only nodded. Who else saw this? Raynor asked. Kari's voice was soft. My mother. She tried to stop it. She died for it. The screen changed again. This time, a list of missions. One of them had Raynor's old unit code. He stared in shock. His team had been part of the operation. He hadn't known. He thought it was a recon mission. A security escort. He had followed orders that killed thousands. He stepped back, his voice hollow. I was part of this. Kari looked at him, not with hate, but with something worse. Pity. Double quotes. You didn't know, she said. But now you do. Suddenly, the tower shook. A blast. A drone had spotted them. Raynor grabbed Kari and ducked as a laser beam sliced through the console. Sparks flew. The screen exploded. No, Raynor shouted. We weren't finished. Kari held up the crystal, now dark. It sent enough, she said. The message is out. Raynor aimed his rifle and shot the drone from the sky. But it was too late. A larger ship began to descend behind them, its lights locking onto their location. Human voices echoed through speakers. Captain Raynor. Surrender the alien. You are outnumbered. Raynor stood tall. His voice was calm, but cold. Then you better count again. Kari stared at him. You would fight your own kind? Raynor looked at her. They're not my kind anymore. Asterisk. When your enemy wears your flag, the battlefield becomes your soul. Raynor stood at the edge of the broken relay tower, rifle in hand, dust in his lungs. Below him, a sleek black human ship had landed, armored, cold, clean. Nothing like the planet had landed on. Soldiers in matte black suits spread out in a half circle. Weapons aimed, visors glowing red. Above, the voice from the loudspeaker spoke again. Captain Raynor, final warning. Hand over the alien, and come quietly. Kari stood behind him, silent, holding the cracked crystal. her last memory of her people. Raynor didn't turn. He just stared at the soldiers, his former brothers. He had trained with them, fought beside them. Now they were here to erase a witness. One soldier stepped forward. His voice came through a helmet mic, familiar. Raynor. It's Commander Voss. You're confused. This thing, it's manipulating you. Raynor laughed once. Cold. You mean she? Not it. She has a name, Kari. Raynor, Voss said. You're a soldier. This isn't your fight. Raynor looked over his shoulder at Kari, trembling, but still standing. She didn't start this fight. We did. Another pause. Then Voss's voice turned hard. She's dangerous. A threat. You know what she is. Raynor's grip tightened on his rifle. Yeah, he said. She's better than us. Suddenly, the soldiers raised their weapons. Kari gasped. Raynor stepped in front of her. Stay behind me, he said. She whispered. You'll die. Maybe, Raynor replied. But not for nothing. Kari looked at him, eyes wide, glowing faintly silver. You don't owe me anything. Raynor's voice cracked. No, but I owe myself the truth. And I owe them, he pointed to the sky, the justice they never got. The ground shook. A warning shot hit a nearby boulder. Commander Voss barked. Final chance. Drop your weapon. Surrender the alien. Raynor breathed in. Slow. Then he shouted back. If I drop this weapon, it's because I'm done fighting for lies. Kari stepped forward. Everyone froze. She raised her glowing hand, not in anger, but in sorrow. Her voice was soft but steady. Don't fight for me. Fight with me. Raynor looked at her. For the first time she stood tall, not just as a survivor, but as a symbol. Something bigger than both of them. Raynor turned to the soldiers below. He raised his voice, loud and clear. You trained me to protect the truth. You told me honor mattered. You said we were better. He raised his rifle. You lied. And then he fired. The battle began. Raynor took cover behind a shattered wall, his shots fast and focused. Kari moved beside him, her palm glowing with pulsing blue light. She raised her hands, not to destroy, but to disarm. With every wave, weapons jammed, drones fell. Systems glitched. She wasn't attacking. She was choosing mercy. But mercy would not be returned. Raynor was hit. A shot grazed his side. He shouted in pain but stayed standing. Kari helped him up. He grinned through the blood. Still with me? She nodded. Always. They ran for the rocks, moving together, one with a rifle, one with light, and behind them, the tower exploded, sending a signal flare into the sky. A message had been sent, and so had a message of rebellion. The sky was no longer silent. It carried a voice now, and that voice refused to die. Smoke rose into the air like a signal of defiance. Raynor's side bled through his uniform, but he didn't stop. His rifle was almost empty. His vision blurred, but Kari was still beside him, glowing, breathing, alive. Behind them, the relay tower was gone, destroyed, but the message had already left the planet. It was out there now, the truth, broadcast across human frequencies. They would. No. The ground shook again. A second dropship landed, farther away this time. More soldiers, more orders. But no more lies. Raynor helped Kari into the shadow of a broken hill. Status? He asked, coughing. Kari closed her eyes. The pulse was clean. The data reached at least 4 outer stations. Someone will see it. Raynor smiled weakly. Then we did it. But they both knew. It wasn't over. Above them, the human ship still hovered, scanning. Raynor opened his Echo base. This is Captain Raynor. I am abandoning command. If anyone loyal to truth is listening, do not return to this planet. It's poisoned with lies. Static. Then, a voice. Raynor? This is Lieutenant Sarah. We received your broadcast. Orders are splitting. Command is denying it all. But some of us, we believe you. Raynor's hand shook. There are more of you? He asked. Yes, and we're coming to get you out. Kari looked at him, her voice soft. You don't have to stay with me. You've done more than anyone. Raynor chuckled, wincing in pain. I said I'd take you with me. And I don't break promises. She helped him up, wrapping his arm over her shoulder. Together, they walked toward the extraction beacon, slowly. Across the shattered valley. Suddenly, behind them, the black armored squad reappeared. Drones swarmed. Kari turned, her hands rising with the last of her strength. Raynor stood beside her. I'm out of ammo, he said. I'm out of light. She whispered. They looked at each other, then smiled. Just before the enemy reached them, a roar filled the sky. A ship, not human, not enemy. One of Kari's people's old cruisers, long thought lost, rose from behind the ridge, repaired. Quiet, cloaked in rock and dirt until now. Raynor's jaw dropped. You didn't tell me you had friends. Kari's voice was steady. I didn't know until they heard the message. The cruiser's cannons lit up, clean, bright energy, and fired once. The drones vanished in a wave of blue light. The Black Ops soldiers ran. The ship landed, its door sliding open. Raynor looked back one last time, at the planet that betrayed them both. Then he looked at Kari. You ready? She reached for his hand. You asked me once if I wanted to live, she said. And now? Raynor asked. She smiled softly. I want to begin. As the ship rose into the sky, carrying them toward stars unknown, the planet below grew smaller. But something new had been born there. Not war, not revenge. A message. And messages, once free, never die.